There's war going on in the Middle East. LA has erupted with protests, but most importantly, our guest just cancelled today. Welcome to the La Project with me, your host Han Royani, and my co-host
BJ, what's up?
Sup. So supposedly we're supposed to have a guest today,
But I
but
think it's the first time we got cancelled on, right?
yeah, first time we got cancelled on.
Yeah.
But
It's okay. Happens.
yeah, luckily the guest did inform us that
Yeah.
he wasn't going to be able to make it today.
That is true.
But he did say he wanted to reschedule, so perhaps in the next episode we'll have him on the show.
Yep.
But okay, so we'll get straight into it because there's so many things that has been going on around the world.
It's been a busy 2 weeks.
It's been a busy last few days, I would say, especially in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Maybe over the last 3
Yeah,
or 4
World War III
days.
just started.
World War III just started. Literally.
Yeah.
We're right here in the heart of Malaysia. We're in
The Middle East is like
yeah.
what the Middle East to World War III is like what Serbia was to World War One. You know, this is where it all kicks off.
Oh yeah. I mean, like out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know if it came out of a vacuum or what, but Israel started deploying missiles towards Iran, and Israel actually attacked a few, I would say, public buildings, and we had like casualties of over like 200 people.
They even attacked the Iranian state media building, right?
Yes, they did, and because of that, Iran retaliated. I think the last 2 days ago.
They still have been retaliated as of I think 2 hours ago.
Yeah. It's still going on right now. It's still going on.
I think Iran just fired a few more strikes into Haifa and Tel Aviv this morning.
Yeah,
our time.
And one of the things is that like Israel has been so proud about their defense, about the Iron Dome, about like their military capabilities.
Yep.
But how could this have happened? Like how did Iran's missiles got through the Iron Dome?
See, that's one thing that I think the most of the public doesn't really understand about the Iron Dome. Is that it's not 100% foolproof system. I think.
Yeah, but they were so proud about it though.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, it still stops about I think 90% of whatever's incoming. So, and it's something that not any other country in the world has, not even the US. You know, so it is like as a military, a defensive military feat, it is very impressive to have that. Like, I'm pretty sure most countries would want to have something like that if they could.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, Iran and Israel.
But it's not limitless. It's not like bottomless in its projectiles. So every so often, as depending on how heavy the use of the Iron Dome is, they have to replenish. And apparently, manufacturing the projectiles for the Iron Dome system is quite costly and also time consuming. So it's not like you can shoot off 100 today and get another 100 tomorrow. So it takes time. In fact, when Israel first attacked Iran a few days ago, when they launched the first strikes onto the nuclear facilities, right, in Natanz, I think it was called. That's where that was like a week, a month. It was either a week or a month. I heard this on the news that a week or a month after the full replenishment of the Iron Dome. So they just replenished it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so but Iran and Israel are probably two of the strongest countries in the Middle East when you're talking about military prowess. You know what I mean? So it's crazy that because both of them technically they have nuclear power.
No,
allegedly.
Iran doesn't.
Yeah,
Iran doesn't. Israel does. Israel is not a signatory of the NPT, the non-proliferation treaty.
Okay.
So Israel did not sign that treaty. Iran did though. The issue, at least officially, that Israel has been putting out as the reason for why they think the strikes are justified on their part is that Iran
had nuclear weapons.
No. Iran has nuclear facilities, civilian nuclear facilities for generating power, but they do not have a weaponized program, nuclear weapons program. the issue that Netanyahu and a lot of even US officials have been putting out since Israel attacked first was that Israel, I think as of 2016 or 2014, were only enriching about 3% of their uranium.
Mm-hmm.
But after the latest report from the IAEA, the International Atomic Enforcement Agency,
Okay.
they have concluded that Israel has now been able to enrich uranium to 60%.
From 3%
Yeah.
to 60%.
Now.
Okay,
So
okay.
a lot of people, especially casual observers, think that's a big deal. And it is.
It
I'm
is.
I'm not saying it's not. However, in order to weaponize uranium, like weaponize it into a bomb,
Okay.
it requires 90% and above enrichment.
Right. But they're getting close though. 60% is a big jump.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
It is a big jump, but the biggest jump is to get from 60 to 90. You understand what we're trying to say?
I understand.
Yeah. So it's easier to get from 3 to 60 than it is from 60 to 90. That's what people don't understand. And that's what I've heard from a lot of nuclear engineers around the world who have been talking about this. So essentially, I'm going to go into a bit of I won't say a rant, but a bit of history lesson. Okay. So
Okay.
back in the, I think this was back in the 70s. Sorry, no. This was in the 90s under Bush Jr.
Okay.
There was a US Department of Defense within the Pentagon, a memo that was circulated around the Pentagon that said that essentially there was a plan in place in the Middle East developed by both Mossad and the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And this memo is official because it was released by 4-star General Wesley Clark.
Okay. Where did he release it? Like
I'm
Was
pretty
it
sure
another
you can find
chat
it
group?
online.
Okay.
But he has also went on every single interview, be it terrestrial
he talked about
news. He's been talking about it.
Okay.
And he was part of the decision making process when this memo came out.
Right.
So in that memo, it circulated there was a 7-country plan. Okay, that Israel and the US were going to invade essentially 7 countries. Okay?
Okay.
Can you take a wild guess what these 7 countries
I
were?
assume these countries are in the Middle East,
Not all 7, but
but more than half.
more than
probably?
half. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I'll put it this way: there were 4 in the Middle East and 3 in North Africa.
3 in North Africa.
Mhm.
Not Algeria.
No. Okay, so we go with the Middle East first. Okay.
Okay.
The 4 Middle East nations
Okay.
were, surprise, Syria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yemen.
Iran. Okay.
Yemen.
Yemen.
Iran. Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 3 Middle Eastern countries, the 3
three
North African countries were Libya. Surprise.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
North Sudan,
Wow. Okay.
right? Remember Black Hawk Down?
Yeah.
Yep. And the Congo.
Oh, so these are the 7 countries.
All-
When was this
all-
released?
This was in the 90s.
Okay.
This plan was formulated in the
Wow.
90s when Dick Cheney was
Deputy,
was
the vice.
when he was vice president, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And Paul Wolfowitz was at the time the deputy secretary of defense, and he was essentially given. He was essentially the one that came up with the idea. It was his brainchild. On top of that, so out of all the countries I mentioned, all of them were Muslim countries,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Still are, in fact. But if you look at the North African countries, all three countries civil war until today.
Yep, that's right.
Still in civil war.
That's right.
Until today. All the three North African countries.
Libya, South Sudan.
There are freaking slave markets in Libya, in Tripoli, in the
Mm-hmm.
capital of Libya. You can buy and sell slaves.
Wow.
Today. Okay? Today.
Really?
Yeah. That's how it is now. It is there.
Let's go to
And,
Libya then.
and people say Gaddafi was
Yeah.
the monster, right? But this never happened under him.
Mhm.
Okay? That's one. And then you look at the four Middle Eastern countries. Before last week, there was only one country that they haven't attacked,
That's true.
and that was Iran.
But now?
They've attacked Iran. They haven't invaded Iran, technically. They
Yeah,
haven't
they
invaded
just
with
attacked.
boots on the ground, but they have definitely attacked Iran.
Yeah. But you know what? Israel, or especially Bibi Netanyahu, have talked about Iran for the longest time.
Yeah,
actually.
25 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
Like I watched a recent interview that he did.
Yeah.
Basically saying that this was in 2012 or 2015.
Yeah.
He was saying that Iran is just weeks away from completing their nuclear
Yeah.
nuclear stuff basically.
Yeah.
And it's 10 years on
Yeah.
and nothing has happened.
Like I
Nothing
said,
came out of Iran.
The jump from 60 to 90 is the biggest jump.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not using that as honestly as he can. Like, it's BB.
Yeah.
So he's using what your initial assumption was against you, because you don't know about what the nuclear engineers know. Right? And unless you're going to go out and look for that information yourself, you're not going to know. It's not going to be on the news.
No.
You know what I mean? So that's where he's using that against you, essentially. He's using that things. Oh, they were at 3% just 10 years ago, and suddenly now they're at 60%. So you give them another 2 years, where are they gonna be? It's an imminent threat, but it's not. It's definitely not. Like,
how many years can it take for that jump from 60 to 90%?
it depends. It depends on whether you can even make the jump. That's a whole different ballgame. At least according to the nuclear scientists that I've listened to. You know, it's a whole different ballgame. Like, and on top of that is just enriching the uranium. That's not developing the weapons to make it into an actual bomb. That's a whole different story. You know, and that can take years. So I don't know. Like, if you ask me, smells very much like a false flag thing. Like, at least the excuses they're giving is
on Israel's side.
On Israel's side, of course. It's not making sense. It's not making sense. Do I think that the Iranian regime is evil? Yeah. They are.
Okay.
They are oppressive. They do not embody the Islam that I subscribe to. They do not embody the Islam
maybe not right now.
They never have. They're Shiites. They're not what we are.
Right.
Even in Malaysia, the Shiites are considered ajaran sesat.
Okay.
You know, officially by our government. So while we have a decent working relationship diplomatically, our governments, the Iranian and the Malaysian governments, their version of Islam is not something we subscribe to. You know,
we Malaysia has some sort of like ties, like politically for Iran, like with Iran.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
you know, the same thing with United States too. They have some sort of I wouldn't say like a peace deal or something with Iran, but they do. They were working on something, you know, like for the nuclear deal, because it was supposed to be like today or the next few days.
No. Okay, so how it was supposed to be was that Donald Trump and the Americans were in the middle of a negotiation for Iran to completely disband their nuclear program, and Iran was quite receptive to this.
Well, Iran wanted to take down. Okay.
They actually wanted to do this, but it was the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He was the one that was the main guy that was saying no. But most of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, they are, especially at the top level, are quite sort of receptive towards being signing a treaty, peace treaty over around nuclear proliferation with the US. Yeah. So it's just that what happened was Donald Trump gave them a 60-day deadline to sign the deal, essentially. And on day 61 BB, so like literally a day after that limit was set,
You know, okay, so we were talking about Donald
Yeah,
Trump, and I've watched this news over the last few days just to trying to figure out what is happening between Iran and Israel, and America actually has some part to play in this. I would say partly because they sort of supply.
No, like you have to say like it is. Israel does not exist without America.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's plain. It's plain.
Yeah.
And
So,
simple.
but I wonder what gives the Israelis such impunity to just like, okay, I'm just gonna bomb Iran. Like they know America is providing them with all these like military and weapons and all this.
And it's never gonna stop.
It's never gonna stop. But I wonder how like. What are the percentages, or how likely is it that Trump would be able to solve this issue? Because when this first came
Iran
out,
thing?
the Iran and Israel thing. So when Israel first shot some missiles over in Iran, Trump's team basically said that, oh, we don't know anything about this. We're not involved in this.
Yeah, but then Trump came out and said he gave the green light.
He came out. He said, oh, we gave Israel the green light.
Yeah.
They can do this, whatever. So like. What was going on? Like, did he order it, or did he like approve it, or did he just not know anything about it?
I don't think he ordered it, but I don't think he approved it. Like he says he gave the green light, right? But I don't think the green light was like saying, okay, y'all can do it. I don't think it was that like cut and dry. I think it was more a sense of like the Mossad telling the CIA, like, look, this is our plans. This is what we're gonna do. You all should get on board because they know Israel. That's the thing about the whole Israel-US relationship. They know that nothing can happen to them, at least from the US side. As long as the US is still the most powerful country in the world, they know that nothing's gonna happen to the Israelis. The Israelis know that there's nothing gonna happen to them.
No, but at which point will America realize that they are being dragged into a war that they initially did not even want to be?
The outcry is only going to be now.
Sorry?
The outcry against this war, against this conflict with Iran, is only going to happen now. Slowly, this is my prediction, okay? Slowly, this thing is going to get bigger and bigger, this conflict, right?
Sure.
It's going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The Americans are definitely going to get involved in some way. In my expectation, it's going to be a thing where it's going to be okay. At first, it's just the US is just going to lend their special forces units, and then slowly it's going to get okay. At first, it's going to be just armaments, like rockets, and then slowly the special forces units are going to get into it, and then slowly the bigger military is going to get into it. So that's usually how these things go before they are resolved in any way. And it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but for those in the world, around the world, expecting that the US is going to do something to stop it,
no, not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
Obviously we're sad about the loss of innocent lives.
Yeah.
And all this, but Israel sort of had it coming.
Well, what do you mean?
I mean, like some of the attacks that have been, were from Iran. When it hit like Tel Aviv, some of the strikes
hit civilians as well.
It hit civilians, sure.
Yeah.
And I don't condone any of that.
Yeah.
But and then you see Israelis like, oh my God, how can we sleep at night knowing that we might get bombed in the middle of the night?
And I feel for them though. Like they're not involved in this.
No,
it's
but
all this government.
Yeah, but you realize like this kind of stuff has happened to Palestinians for years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And suddenly now it happens to Israelis. Suddenly, oh, this is terrible. We should stop this. I mean, like
from the US side, they're always gonna say that though. It's the reality of their relationship. It even seems like it's like disingenuous because they don't seem to care about the Gazans or the people.
Exactly.
Right? But that's where their ally is. The Palestinians, although not their enemy, not their ally either. The Israelis are their oldest ally.
You're talking about with America.
Yeah. So they're always going to be more sympathetic, more empathetic towards the Israelis than they are going to be, frankly, towards anyone else. not just the Palestinians, but towards anyone else. And that's just a reality of how their situation is, their relationship is. If that were to change, it has to be something cataclysmic. It will probably only change if, one, the US somehow degrades from becoming the most powerful superpower in the world.
Not gonna happen.
It will eventually. It's just whether it's in our lifetime or not.
Okay.
It will.
Sure.
All civilizations fall. Or Israel itself as a country has to be wiped out of the face of the earth. I'm not saying I'm condoning that. I'm just telling you that that's the reality of their relationship.
Yeah.
To make the US not care about Israel has to be non-existent, essentially. That's how far it has to go.
Yeah, but
that's not going to happen either.
No, the way that Israel has been doing, they are collecting more and more enemies. Now it's Iran.
Correct.
Maybe in the future it'll be like Iraq or some other countries.
But what do you think happens if Iran attacks Israel?
They have.
No.
Oh,
if for example, there are boots on the ground in Iranian boots on the ground in Israel. Or they send fighter jets.
America is gonna send.
No, you know who's gonna send the first jets? The Saudis. The Saudis hate the Iranians. They've been going to war. The Saudis
I get that.
The Saudis have been bombing Iranians since the 70s until today.
I get that.
Uh-huh.
But why would
I'd be surprised if until today, if today there are not any at all Saudi planes that are shooting down Iranian jets?
That's crazy to me.
Why?
I understand that one's like Sunni, one's Shia, right?
It's not just Sunni, it's the Wahhabism.
Okay, sure. So they have like different sects of Islam.
It's like far right and far left, basically.
Yeah, far right and far left.
Is that
Islam.
big the gap?
Yeah. But at the same time, you realize that these are all Muslims, right? And then they are like one side, especially for the Palestinians. For example, I'm not talking about Iran or Iraq.
Yep.
Like Palestinians, they have been oppressed for years, like decades. But Saudi hasn't done anything to help out these people. And I realized that Saudi actually does have a lot of political ties towards Israel. Like, not necessarily that I agree with this, but Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, does have a lot of back dealing with
not
the
just back
Israeli
dealing. They have the Abraham Accords, which Saudi and Israel are both signatories of. So there is a multilateral peace deal, trade deal.
I think, so this has been going on for decades, right? Between Iran and
Saudi? Yeah. I think since the 70s, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you think Israel had a part to play in that? Like in
the CIA did. So
in turning the Saudis against the Iranians?
Oh, no. That is thousands of years.
Okay.
It doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
The Saudis hate the Iranians and the Iranians hate the Saudis is because of that happened when Abraham was alive.
Right.
It's not when Moses was alive. It's not something that we understand.
Okay.
And it's not something that is reversible because of that. It's literally thousands of years.
So there's nothing that we can do or nothing the US can fix?
If Iranian jets fly over Tel Aviv, I guarantee you Saudi planes are going to be right there waiting for them, ready to shoot them down as well.
Wow, that is crazy.
Why? They've been bombing Iran. So like it's not as crazy. It's only crazy when you think of the Iranians as Muslims as how we are.
Okay. But you're saying they're not?
I don't view them that way. Our government don't view them that way. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Beautiful people, but the kind of Islam that is being portrayed by the government of Iran is not the Islam that is the true Islam.
Yeah. It is sort of like a military government also in Iran because they've had. I mean, this has happened over the last few years. If you in Iran, if a woman wears a hijab I was
and
gonna say
just like a hair comes out, they get flogged.
Yeah,
legit flogged in public. That's not Islam, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not Islam.
But a lot of people are against that though. A lot of Iranians are against that.
Yeah, true. That's why I blame the government. I don't blame. The Iranian people are beautiful people. They've always wanted peace. Like, have you seen photos of what Iran was like?
Yeah, in the
20s?
80s.
In the 20s.
In the 20s, no.
20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
I think I've seen.
Iran was beautiful. Iran was like the Paris. Tehran was the Paris of the East.
Like everyone was like free-haired.
Yeah.
Like you can see like...
Everybody was wearing suits.
Yeah, suits and wearing like bikinis and stuff.
Same goes to... what's that place? Beirut, Lebanon.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. So, and both the places have been screwed.
And, you know, talking about Israel, I wonder, like, now they have Iran against them, but they are also surrounded by so many other countries that also hates them. So I wonder if this war, when this war goes on, like, as it escalates, I wonder how many other countries are going to get involved in this. Because, as we said, this could be actually the start of World War III.
I think it is, honestly.
Yeah.
I honestly think it is.
Yeah, because America is
World
going
War
to be
III
dragged
doesn't
in
just
this.
happen overnight to where
No.
100,000 guys are fighting another 100,000 guys on the other side. It doesn't happen that way.
No,
It
because-
slowly builds up.
And this is going to escalate.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so
it's not going to be resolved anytime soon.
It's not going to be
For
resolved
sure.
anytime soon.
For sure.
So
if they couldn't resolve the whole Ukraine-Russia by now, they can't resolve that is not even thousands of it. That's like what? At most a 40-year, 50-year thing, you know? But this is like this conflict is thousands of years old. The Jewish and the Persians.
yeah,
Think about it.
you're right.
It's thousands of years old. That is not going to go away.
And
They just have leveled up their weapons. That's all. That's all it is. It was spears once upon a time.
yeah.
It was swords and shields once upon a time. Now it's rockets.
Now it's rockets, nuclear weapons,
bombs.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We're living in some like crazy timeline.
Yeah. There was a stat, someone said, one of the historians said that there has been more bloodshed, death since World War II than there was in World War II and World War I combined.
Yep. With so many wars going on right now. So many wars.
So many.
Now let's...
And this is, okay, I have to say this
Okay.
to be intellectually honest, okay?
Okay.
Which I always pride myself on this show.
Sure.
And that I have to say, I don't like how Donald Trump is handling this. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, I don't.
Wow.
He campaigned. If I was an American citizen, I would have voted for him based on the fact that the main thing that I would have voted for him on, number one, would have been his foreign policy of saying no more wars. And
he hasn't.
he
done
just
that.
okayed the war.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't participate in this one, he okayed it. And like I said, my prediction is that the US, when it comes to Israel, they cannot be like the Ukraine where, okay, we send you rockets, we send you this, handle your business. They're gonna get involved. They're gonna get involved. You know. So the fact that he hasn't distanced himself from it is a bit weird to me. Like he himself, you know, if it's his cabinet that's coming out and saying this and that, that's one thing. But he himself has been in public, has been asked on it, and he hasn't disavowed the war.
Wow. And this is coming from the biggest Trump fan, guys.
I'm not a Trump.
He went to a Halloween costume one night, dressed as Donald Trump.
Yeah. But that was for the parody of it. No, but the whole point of it is that, look, regardless of how I feel about him and what I thought about him, that only goes as far as the results that he can prove. Because an election is won on promises. It's never won on results. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
You can never win an election on results. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't look good. He still can change course. It's going to take a lot. It's going to be harder now than it was before to change course. But he still can. I just like to know it for a fact of my disapproval and the fact that I don't think that he's doing the right thing.
All right, this is what I think about Trump. Since he's a businessman,
okay.
I think he can be bought easily.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Who is which country gave Trump the
Qatar.
The plane?
Yeah.
Yeah, Qatar has had a lot of like issues, especially when it comes to like the working conditions and some of the way the immigrants are being treated. But then Trump is like, oh, they're giving us a free plane. Yeah, we love Qatar.
Yeah, but what was Trump supposed to do about that?
They can just say like, okay, we don't accept this. But Trump being a businessman, he's like, okay, yeah, awesome. Give me the planes.
Yeah,
I'm like, go Qatar.
But that's like because you say he can be bought easily, right?
Yeah.
But what did Qatar get in return?
The endorsement
of what?
Of Trump. So Trump's followers are going to be like, oh, actually Qatar is not that bad. They gave us a free plane.
Okay, but I mean, Qatar didn't really buy anything. Like, I don't know if that's worth $500 billion.
No.
You know, like it's the whole thing with the Kelantanese in Malaysia.
What do you mean?
Since the 70s. You think those BN, UMNO people don't go to Kelantan and hand out money like they do everywhere?
Yeah.
They do.
Of course. Yeah.
And do you think the Kelantanese don't take that? They do. But when it comes to the ballot, they are not putting that X on UMNO at all. But I'm going to take your money. You're going to give it to me. I'm going to give it. But it's not rasuah if I don't do what you want me to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So
no, you were the one bribing us.
To me, that's sedekah. Right?
Yeah.
Right? You know that's how the Kelantanese view it. I'm partially Kelantanese, so I know this for a fact.
Okay.
So it is what it is. It is what it is. That's how it's always functioned. That's why it's going to be passed there until the end of time. Yeah. UMNO will never ever have a leg into Kelantan. Not like they do in Terengganu. Like even the Terengganu people were not that like still in their resolve, you know. But the Kelantanese are. And it's the same thing. If you can prove that there was something being bought in return for the plane, then yeah, I'm on board. But if it's just like, oh, you're telling me that now Trump's followers are going to be like more susceptible or more receptive towards Qatar, then it has to be more.
No, I'm sure there was something in the
maybe
some back dealings or some sort. Trump probably gave them something, or like they're working on something at the moment. So Qatar is like, you know what? Thank you for your help or whatever.
But what was the problem if Trump is profiting like 2-3 billion off of that deal, or the US is profiting 2-3 billion off of that deal, and all they have to sacrifice is like a $500 billion plane. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Business is business. You see, maybe Trump is Kelantanese.
Oh God. No, Trump is
Trump is UMNO.
Qatar
is the Kelantanese.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, talking about Trump, and we talked about like some of the terrible wars going on in the Middle East. Actually, in America, there's also a war going on right now.
Yeah. In LA.
In LA. Yeah. So in Los Angeles, there have been riots, protests, because Trump has used the military, mobilized ICE and some of the military to basically round up.
The military came in after.
Okay.
The time the military came in after. It was just ICE agents trying to deport people.
They basically just going on the streets of LA, going to shops, just taking people that they think is like, okay, this is an immigrant, or maybe this guy doesn't have a proper pass. And some of these people have stayed in America for years, some like even decades, and
still illegal.
Hold on, some of these people like pay their taxes. They are working for the community. They're making the society a better place. And at the same time, in America, you have so many homeless people. You have so many people with drug problems. Like they would walk on the streets like zombies. You know what I mean? But Trump's not doing anything about that. But instead, he goes after some of these. I'm not gonna say all of them are hardworking people, but a lot of them. So he goes after the people that.
But still illegally, though. Still there illegally. That's the whole point. You can work as hard as you want, but if you're there illegally, you're there illegally.
Yeah, some of them are not even illegal. Like they have like their visas. Some of them were just like deported just because they were originally from whatever country, like South American country they're from. So
I'm not too sure about that because I've seen quite a few reports like independently, not from either Fox or CNN.
Okay.
That have actually said that a lot of people that were arrested, especially there was one guy that they were chasing through like a Walmart parking lot, I think. There's a video of that going viral. And
an ICE officer chasing a guy through Walmart.
2 ICE officers, in fact, chasing a guy through a Walmart parking lot, and he was deported because he actually had charges of lewd acts against minors.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
but that's one case.
No, that was the example of that one guy. But they were, I think, in that shot. I'll look for it and I'll try and forward to you guys. There were like, I think 10 or 15 like screenshots of different faces that were
they suspected to be.
Yeah. So look, at the end of the day, I don't know how much of that is true on one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I do know what I can see, and is that people are waving Mexican flags.
Yeah.
In America, while the government is trying to deport them back to Mexico. So like my
That's
advice to people that wave Mexican flags or even flags of foreign countries in
America.
that are not the country of where you are in. Not just America, anywhere in the world, even in Malaysia, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're from Bangladesh and you wave a Bangladeshi flag because the police are trying to deport you, you know,
that's not the smartest move.
Go back to Bangladesh. Same thing for the Mexicans. Like if you want to wave the Mexican flag while people are trying to deport you to go back to Mexico,
they're just
go ahead.
Setting a target on themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
They're creating a target. Like imagine all these police officers are they're looking for someone to catch.
Yeah,
and
this guy is just a big ass Mexican
come
flag.
catch me.
Yeah, come get me. Like,
no, but it's crazy how things have escalated, in LA. Like
I think the whole National Guard thing, right?
Yeah.
Like bringing in the National Guard to deal with the riots. It's good that they're using rubber pellets instead of live ammunition. I've been a part of a so-called peaceful protest once in my life.
What?
Yeah, bersih.
Okay.
I was part of the first bersih.
Okay.
Like, we had to run into like Tung Shin Hospital because we were being sprayed with.
The first bersih that was against Najib.
Yeah. No. Was it Najib? Can't remember. This was like when I was either 18 or 17, something like that. Maybe even 16.
Okay, so then
There was either Pak La Najib around that time lah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been right after Pak La, just as Najib was getting to something like that.
Sure.
Can't remember. Like most things that happen that far away in my life, I don't pay attention to it anymore.
I would not expect you to be a part of a peaceful
Dude,
protest.
I was so much more far left than you are right now, dude. So much more, dude. I was so far that way. So far, though. Like, people, if you think that this conservative me is weird, like, you should have seen me back then. Though.
So
dude.
you were even weirder before this?
Yeah,
Okay.
dude. What
changed?
I was so far left, dude. I didn't know. Donald
You just
Trump.
grew up. Donald Trump.
When he came down that golden escalator, in 2016,
You were like, this is the guy. This is the guy.
I'm going right. He went right. I'm going right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had an opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Where when you went like, oh, this is the guy.
Yeah.
I go like,
This
is not the guy. This is not the guy.
Yeah, so I was part of Bersih, and
Okay.
I was actually detained and all that. Brought to Pulapol.
What was the process? How were you detained? Like, did someone
they just put us like in a.
Were you handcuffed?
No.
Okay.
In the Black Maria.
Okay.
Yeah, you climb into the Black Maria, and then like you had all your with you, like all your phones and everything. They didn't take anything away.
Okay.
And when we got there, they gave us like nasi ikan goreng.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
So like it's not as bad as certain Bersih leaders at the time wanted to make it out to be.
Sure.
But we were sprayed with like that chemical water.
Wow.
So that did happen, and that wasn't nice.
Yeah,
that wasn't nice.
I'm sure. It'd be great if the ICE, or the who did Trump employ, the
National Guard.
Uh-huh. It'd be great if they did like round up some people, and then they're like, hey, here's some nasi goreng. Or here's some. That would like have de-escalated the situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of my whole point, is that bringing in the National Guard to be like full riot gear and everything and just stand there, even though they're just standing there, it seems aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks aggressive. It looks like, okay, we're ready to fight, even if they're not doing anything. You know, you just have their shields up and waiting, right? So I think that was another misstep. I'm not saying he shouldn't have called in the National Guard. Maybe he should have. Maybe if they needed more personnel, but it should have been with a different mandate, I guess.
Did they what do you call it? Like overstep some of the not boundaries, but did they overdo it? You know, when
No, I don't think so. If they overdoing it would have been using live ammunition, you know, things like that.
No, but there have been a lot of damages that have happened, like,
That were
in
caused
LA.
by the rioters.
Caused by
mostly.
the rioters, yeah.
So,
But it also happened because of the escalation by the officers.
I guess, but there's also the question of if the rioters were left, left alone and just let to riot, how much more damages would they be?
Right.
You know, so I don't know. That's a game of what if I am not interested to play.
Okay.
But I do feel like could have been handled better.
Right.
Could have been handled better.
I'm gonna say something that might open up a can of worms.
Okay.
So like we were talking about like how in LA there have been riots going on because like a lot of people, they want to send back some of the illegal immigrants back to their original countries. So now I'm gonna focus this to Malaysia. So you know, Kuala Lumpur has a big migrant community. You know, some I'm not too
For a population of
yeah.
roughly 28 million Malaysians, we have roughly 2 to 5 million illegal immigrants in the country.
Yeah.
Illegal.
Legal or illegal?
Illegal.
Illegal immigrants.
Legal, I'm not sure. But illegal immigrants, the estimates have been as low as 2 million, and the highest estimate has been as high as 5. So probably falls somewhere in there.
With that in mind, let's say something happens to the country of Bangladesh, for example, because we have a lot of Bangladeshi community here.
Correct.
Let's say, right now they're not, but let's say if the Bangladesh people have like nuclear weapons or they
do, by the way.
They are portraying a threat to some of the major Western superpowers, for example.
Okay.
How likely are we in Malaysia to have one of our prime ministers employ the National Guard or the police or the military to round up these illegal immigrants and send them back? How likely is that going to happen? Because at the same time, we do have a lot of companies in Malaysia, regardless whether they are in construction or F&B, who hire all these people. And how is that gonna implicate the economy and also the structure of Malaysia?
Yeah, that's a decent question. Like the jobs that they have, Malaysians don't want.
Exactly.
You know, if you're being honest about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It opens up, like you said, it opens up the economy. But you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. So even if the job is there, but if no one wants to do it, it's not gonna get done.
Is that then? What do you think the solution is? Do we increase the minimum wage so that some of the locals here would want to do those jobs?
Maybe, but if you don't have any illegal immigrants, that's something that's actually doable. You know, there's no bleed in our national budget.
What do you mean? There's no bleed?
So the one thing, the big issue about immigrants, illegal immigrants especially, no matter the country, not just Malaysia, not just the US, any country, Europe, is that you have a bleeding of resources that are not meant for them. The resources are meant for the citizens of your country. Right? And some way or rather, because of humanity essentially, these people are going to absorb some of those resources that are not meant for them because they're here illegally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that causes a bleed of resources. That think of it as a pipeline from the government towards the people. So there's these other groups outside that are illegally here that
they are
also
tapping into some of the
line.
Yeah.
So that is the problem of illegal immigration. The more illegal immigration you have, the bigger the bleed, the more intense the bleed of the resources is towards these other parts. Be it the resources can be a lot of things. It might not be like, oh, groceries are still on the shelves and like that. You know, these things are not going, but things like welfare, amenities. You know, how many toilets do you see destroyed? Public toilets that are destroyed. You know, how many parking spaces in the middle of Kuala Lumpur that are co-opted by Bangladeshi gangs or Rohingya gangs that force you to pay a certain amount of money just so you can park there and nothing happens to your car. They don't even watch your car. They just make sure that you are just paying protection money essentially. You know, so
these are like gangsters basically.
Yeah. You know, so and these gangsters are not like the traditional Chinese triads, you know, or Russian mafia. They're not. These
are from these impoverished
completely
countries.
new elements, you know, and that come here and find out that actually when you come here and you don't have a plan, you don't have a degree, you're not trying to better your life, whatever.
Okay.
All you're doing is making yourself destitute in a different country.
So then do we integrate these people into our community?
Absolutely not.
Then are we supposed to send them back?
Maybe not send them back. I mean, if they're committing crimes, send them back. But it has to be a national mandate, national will kind of thing. Like the whole thing why this ICE thing is happening was because immigration and the border security was number one in the US. Number one election issue.
Hundreds of thousands of people pouring into, especially during the Joe Biden's presidency.
Over 4 years, right? So it was the number one issue when it came to the election of 2024. And because Trump ran on deporting these people, right? And he won. He won with that becoming his number one issue. So he has the mandate to do this. Like it or not, like the optics or not, he's just doing what he promised he would do. So in that sense, that's why I'm a bit hesitant to completely criticize him on that. I criticize the way in which he's doing it. I think there's a better way to do this. But I don't criticize the fact that he's doing it because he was tasked with doing it.
I would just hope that, you know, he gives these people some food at least after arresting them, you know. And then makes the experience much better. So they're like, okay, if I was the protester, I get caught or whatever, and then suddenly they give me like ayam penyet, for example. I'm like, hey, these guys are not bad.
Yeah, the ikan goreng was not that good. It was not that good, trust me.
But they gave you something, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's all the time we have for today's episode. We're sad about what's happening throughout the world, and we're lucky that we kind of live in Malaysia where...
I'm not sad, I'm concerned. I'm not sad.
Yeah, okay. I'm sad and concerned.
I'm not sad. I'm never sad, dude. I'm a man. I'm stoic.
Dude, right? a man can cry sometimes.
Never. Only in your heart.
No.
Never on the outside.
It's okay to cry.
Never.
If you want to cry.
It's not. Strong man breed weak man. No, strong man.
No, strong man creates weak times.
No, weak times create strong man. Strong man create
good times.
Create good times.
Good times create weak men. Yeah. Sure, but even a strong man can cry. You know? All right. Thank you guys for watching this. Actually, this is our 30th episode. Can you believe
it?
It
is?
Yeah.
Holy
episode.
Happy 30 though.
Yeah. So thank you guys for supporting and watching our latest
and thank you,
episode.
Since it's 30th, we have to say thank you to Mel, Doris, Fee, and Adam.
Yes, our producers.
We love you guys.
We could not have done this without them. They run pretty much everything.
No, literally. Literally.
Yeah,
we cannot do this without them.
We cannot do this without them. They have helped out so much. We literally do the easy job.
Yep.
Yeah, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Love you guys. Bye.
Peace.
Let's go.